Long ago, before Christmas was a time of joy and celebration, there was a village hidden deep in the mountains. In this village, people believed in a kind old man named Klaus who would bring gifts to the children every winter. He was known for his bright red cloak, long white beard, and a sack full of toys. Children loved him, and parents trusted him to bring happiness during the cold, dark nights. But there was a secret about Klaus that no one knew. One bitterly cold winter, Klaus didn't arrive as expected. The villagers waited, but the skies were dark and the snow fell harder than ever. Days turned to weeks, and still, there was no sign of him. The children became sad, and the village grew colder. The villagers decided to search for him, fearing something terrible had happened. One night, a group of villagers ventured into the forest, following Klaus's usual path. They walked for hours, the snow crunching beneath their feet, and the wind howling like it was warning them to turn back. But they didn't stop. Finally, they reached a cave at the foot of the mountain. Inside, they found something they were not prepared for. Klaus was there, but he was not the kind man they remembered. His once jolly face was twisted with anger, his red cloak torn and dirty. His eyes, once bright, were now dark and empty. In his hands, he held a broken toy, and scattered around him were gifts that had been destroyed. One of the villagers, an old woman named Ezen, stepped forward. "Klaus, what happened to you?" she asked, her voice shaking. Klaus slowly turned to her, his voice cold and full of hatred. "They betrayed me," he whispered. "The children. The parents. They took my kindness for granted. Year after year, they demanded more toys, more gifts. And what did I get in return? Nothing but greed." Ezen stepped back, her heart pounding. "But you loved the children. You loved bringing joy." Klaus's laughter echoed through the cave, chilling the villagers to their bones.
"That was before," he said.
"Now I have something else in mind." With a wave of his hand, a dark mist filled the cave, and the villagers felt a terrible power wash over them. "I will not bring gifts anymore," Klaus said, his voice now booming. "I will bring fear. Every year, on this night, I will come, not to give, but to take." Ezen tried to plead with him, but it was too late. Klaus had become something else, something evil. His joy had turned to rage, and his love had turned to hate. From that night on, Klaus was no longer the bringer of gifts. He had become Santa Claus, a dark spirit who would visit homes on Christmas Eve. Instead of leaving presents, he would take what mattered most: hope, love, and joy. As the years passed, the story of Santa Claus spread, but it was twisted into a tale of a jolly old man bringing gifts. The truth was hidden, but those who knew the real story never celebrated Christmas again. They feared the curse of Santa Claus, who would return to punish the greedy and the selfish. Some say that every Christmas Eve, if you listen closely, you can hear him. His sleigh no longer jingles with bells, but with the rattling of chains. His laugh is no longer warm but cold and cruel. And instead of toys, he carries a sack filled with the lost souls of those who dared to celebrate Christmas. So if you ever hear the sound of heavy footsteps on your roof, or a shadow moving near your Christmas tree, remember this: Santa Claus is not here to bring joy. He is here to remind you of the curse. And once he visits, you will never celebrate Christmas again.